Imagine working hard your whole life, saving every dollar you can, only to realize that owning a home is nothing more than a distant dream. In Australia, that's the harsh reality for millions. Despite its stunning beaches, modern cities, and high quality of life, Australia is facing a housing crisis so severe that even renting has become an uphill battle. The question is, how did we get here? And more importantly, is there a way out? This is the dark side of Australia. Housing crisis unfolds. Over the past few decades, Australia has seen one of the most dramatic housing booms in history. Since the 1970s, home prices have skyrocketed, rising 36 times in some areas. Sydney, once known for its breathtaking harbor views, is now the second most unaffordable city in the world. Buying a home isn't just difficult, but for many, it's nearly impossible. In Melbourne, a family needs to make at least $170,000 a year just to afford the median-priced home. In Sydney, that number jumps to an eye-watering $260,000. But here's the problem. The median household income in both cities is only around $100,000. The math just doesn't add up. And it's not just Sydney and Melbourne. Since 2020, property prices in Brisbane, Adelaide, and Perth have surged over 50%, while wages have barely moved, increasing only 12%. This has left young Australians struggling to keep up, watching homeownership slip further out of reach. In fact, homeownership rates for people under 34 have dropped by nearly 25%. Rental market nightmare. If buying isn't an option, surely renting is more manageable, right? Think again. The rental market has become just as brutal. Median rents in Sydney now exceed $3,000 per month, and Brisbane isn't far behind at $2,500. Historically, rental prices rose gradually, but since 2020, rent hikes have averaged over 8% per year. And the worst part? Even finding a place to rent is a battle. Every listing attracts dozens, sometimes hundreds, of desperate applicants. Rental inspections turn into chaotic competitions, with lines of hopeful renters stretching around the block. People are forced into bidding wars just for the basic right to have a roof over their heads. Why is housing so unaffordable? So, what's fueling this crisis? Many point to immigration as a major factor. From 2022 to 2023, Australia saw its highest migration numbers in modern history, welcoming nearly 740,000 people. With more demand but the same limited supply, housing prices naturally soared. The rental market has felt the biggest impacts, as the majority of new immigrants rent rather than buy. In suburbs with high migrant populations, rental prices jumped as much as 18% in a single year. Many newcomers, desperate for housing, are willing to share apartments with multiple roommates, driving rental yields even higher. But blaming immigration alone oversimplifies the problem. The real issue? Housing supply simply isn't keeping up. While immigration continues to rise, the number of new homes being built has plummeted. In 2023, only 170,000 new dwellings were completed, the lowest number in over a decade. The culture of sprawl and the NIMBY problem. One major challenge is Australia's preference for suburban sprawl over dense urban development. Compared to cities like London or Amsterdam, Australia's cities are far more spread out, with lower population density. Many Australians prefer detached homes with large yards, but this has led to a chronic shortage of housing in major cities. At the same time, strict zoning laws and lengthy approval processes have made it nearly impossible for new developments to keep pace with demand. Even in the midst of a housing crisis, March 2024 saw the lowest number of detached home approvals since 2012. The result? An artificial shortage of land, pushing property prices even higher. Tax policies and investor incentives. Then there's the issue of government policy. Decades of tax incentives have made real estate investing far more attractive than other forms of investment. One key policy is negative gearing, which allows investors to offset rental property losses against their taxable income. This has encouraged speculative buying, driving up prices while ordinary Australians struggle to afford homes. In addition, capital gains tax discounts make real estate an even more lucrative investment. Properties held in retirement accounts, known as supers, are taxed at significantly lower rates than other assets. In some cases, investors pay as little as 10% in taxes on property sales, making it one of the most investor-friendly real estate markets in the world. This has created a system where owning multiple investment properties is heavily rewarded, while first-time buyers are pushed out of the market. In fact, government policies that encourage speculation on real estate cost Australian taxpayers nearly $8 billion a year, a nation at a crossroads. For decades, governments have failed to address the housing crisis. Both major parties have promised solutions, but home prices continue to climb. If you bought a home in 1992 for $500,000, today it could be worth $2.4 million. If you were born after 1992, odds are you don't own a home, and at this rate, you might never. Is there a way out? So, what's the solution? It starts with policy changes, incentivizing business investment over real estate speculation, cutting income taxes to help Australians save for homes, reforming negative gearing, reducing capital gains incentives, and streamlining development approvals to increase housing supply. But real change won't come from the top. It comes from people demanding better policies. The housing crisis isn't just a statistic, it's a daily struggle for millions. The dream of homeownership shouldn't be reserved for the wealthy few. The question is, will Australia take action before it's too late?